This is my Alesis Nitro Mesh drum kit with a drum module. And I have the extension pack, so I have a second crash cymbal, and I should have a second floor tom, but my acoustic set doesn't have that. And as you can see, I spread it out pretty far so that it matches the distance of my acoustic set. And so I have less difference playing it. I would like to raise the crash cymbals on this setup a bit. Haven't found a way to do so yet, and no urgency. One thing I changed is I put the snare drum on a separate stand. I used to have it supported with an extra beam. Before that it would fall off. I obviously play too aggressive. Anyway, the stand was the solution for me. Something else you can see is I put a piece of duct tape on the floor drum pad because it is prone to wear, and I'd rather have the piece of tape wear and replace it than have it have the rubber wear. But the trouble with the rubber one is that it's really bouncy, and it does teach you to play more cleanly because otherwise you've got double bounce, double notes, and it's not to my liking. If I play an acoustic set, I just play the acoustic set at my drum school, not my drum school, but the drum school I attend yesterday, and no problem whatsoever with any bounce. My acoustic set I have at home in the attic, I don't have any problems with bounce. With this one, I do. So, having said all that, I have an extra pad, namely the one that's supposed to be the extra floor tom. And I took the mesh head off, as you can see. So it's a single trigger setup. There's room to place another sensor, and there's a little board that connects the sensor to the jack, and there's some resistors on there. I made note of everything, but basically I haven't done anything to this except for removing the head and the ring that tightens the head, and the bolts, of course, tightening those. And I've taken out the clamping ring with which you would normally fix it. So what I'm going to do with this one, if I replace the floor tom pad with this one, the sounds are exactly the same. So obviously the trigger system inside this one is the same as the trigger system inside the rubber pad. And I'm going to make a little wooden stand for this with something for the kick pedal to clamp onto. And then I have a mesh head bass drum. In order to do so, I took some large rings, washers I should say, and I put them as far out as I could, but they're still flat against the back of the plastic. There's a little curves and edges and chamfers in the plastic, so I made sure that I note every hole I'm going to drill at a location that the washer will sit flush. And with these holes and washers and some nuts and bolts, I'm going to mount it to my wooden support. That's the next part of the video. So this is the result. This is the old version, the original. This is the mesh pad with a wooden support. And the wire connection is on the top, so we can reach that. And I put this bar in to which the foot pedal can clamp. And this is a very soft aluminium tube, so I'm going to the hardware store tomorrow to get a solid steel or stainless one. But it's like this part where the pedal will clamp onto. Now, the original version also has these screws which have pointy bits to grab into floor or carpet, and I might make something like that onto the sides here at a later stage. But in my setup, it'll be positioned against the wall anyway. So there's no real need for that at this point. First, I want to try whether it works. We'll see that next. So here we have the unit installed. I'm sitting in my stool, not wearing any shoes because it's really hot today. Yeah, unit installed. As you can see, it's almost against the wall. There's a bit of carpet I peeled up against the board, but I can't push it backwards. And it works. But one thing I noticed is that it's a lot more sensitive than the original. So what I did was I went to the control unit and I went to voice and voice again, and it says volume. And the volume was at 27 to be in a reasonable level together with the other instruments, the other pads. But I put that all the way back to 10. So that's what I changed. And now if I use my toms, it is at a reasonable level. It can be quite soft and quite loud. There's not very much dynamic left in it, but well, anyway, it's less bouncy. It feels more like the real thing, and that was what I was going after. So, setup improved.